The morning sun had barely begun to gild the stained glass windows of St. Augustine's Chapel when Hope Logan, avant, resplendent in a gown of ivory lace and silk that seemed to glow from within, glided down the aisle, her smile both radiant and unsteady, unaware that the most devastating twist of her life was about to unfold. Friends and family filled the polished oak pews. Ridge standing tall in navy tuxedo, Brooke's eyes misted with pride, Donna beaming as always, Steffi's posture stiff with concealed relief, all gathered to witness the long-awaited union of Hope and Carter Walton. Carter, at the altar, adjusted his bow tie with a confident smile, believing that every obstacle had been surmounted, that Hope's trust and her family's blessing had cemented their fate. But as the organist struck the first note of the bridal procession, the heavy wooden doors behind Hope swung open once more, and there, in the aisle's soft light, stood Thomas Forrester, clad in a sharply tailored charcoal suit. An incongruous bundle of manila folders cradled under one arm and a single, sinister prop in the other, an old mannequin torso draped in a tattered replica of the very dress Hope now wore. Gasps rippled through the congregation as Thomas advanced, eyes blazing with a mixture of triumph and darker undertones, pausing only to set the mannequin down on a small pedestal he had requisitioned moments before. The atmosphere crackled with tension as he cleared his throat and raised the folders like a judge's gavel, the chapel's hush amplifying the weight of his interruption. "Before you exchange vows," he announced, voice ringing through the vaulted ceiling, "I have proof that this wedding is built on lies and betrayal." Hope froze midway, heart pounding in her throat, Carter's jaw clenched, eyes narrowing with alarm, Ridge's knuckles whitened at his side, Brooke's breath caught in her chest. Thomas began to flip open the first folder, revealing a stack of internal emails and design schematics stamped with the clandestine watermark of Forrester Creations. "Carter Walton," he intoned, "has been secretly collaborating with Steffi Forrester to wrest control of Hope for the Future, the design line that bears our bride's name and legacy, by funneling her confidential sketches and marketing strategies directly to Steffi's office." Murmurs swelled into outraged whispers as Thomas thrust forward photographs of Carter meeting Steffi in a private suite at the Avant launch party, Carter's hand furtively passing a USB drive, and video stills of hushed late-night calls with Clay Madison executives plotting to devalue Hope's brand, all exposed with damning clarity. Hope's cheeks blanched, her lips parted in a silent cry. Carter's face went ashen as everyone in the chapel saw him reduced from loving fiancé to corporate conspirator. Unwinding another sheaf of documents, Thomas revealed the piece de resistance, a grainy but unmistakable surveillance image from a Paris hotel balcony, Carter locked in a passionate kiss with Daphne, Hope's own cousin. Only days after Cassandra Avant had enshrined their engagement in champagne and confetti. The betrayal was twofold. Carter had not only undermined Hope's career, but had shattered her personal world, hiding a liaison with the one family member she had once trusted above all. Stifled sobs erupted among the guests as Hope staggered backward, tripping on her gown's train. Ridge lunged to steady her, fury blazing in his eyes. Brooke ran down the aisle, arms outstretched, tears streaming. Steffi's triumphant smirk twisted into horror as the enormity of her own involvement, her secret alliance with Carter, became exposed in the harsh light of Thomas's revelations. Carter, drenched in sweat and disgrace, stumbled forward, hands raised. "Hope, please," he pleaded, voice cracking. I can explain. "It was never meant to hurt you. It was," but Hope recoiled, her breath coming in sharp sobs, the chapel's sacred hush now shattered by the roar of betrayal. Thomas's gaze flicked to the mannequin at his side. Its lifeless form garbed in a bridal dress that mimicked Hope's own, its cracked porcelain face a grotesque testament to his unresolved obsession, and he spoke again, quieter this time but no less chilling. And this, he said, gesturing toward his mock bride, is living proof that some wounds never heal, that some hearts remain unsettled. A collective shudder rippled through the stunned assembly as the mannequin's glassy eyes reflected the chandelier's glow, and Carter's pleas dissolved into the cavernous silence. Hope's tears fell freely now, her trembling hand reaching for Ridge's as though for salvation. Ridge stepped forward, voice thunderous with protective rage. "This ceremony is over," and at that, the organist struck a discordant chord as Hope turned and fled down the aisle, backed by Brooke's sobbing support. Guests rose in stunned confusion, women clutching husbands, children hiding faces, while Carter stood frozen like a lone figure on a battlefield, humiliated beyond redemption. Thomas, folder still in hand, paused at the altar, eyes drifting to the mannequin as though it were a long-lost confidant, then turned and strode from the chapel, leaving behind a scene of wreckage where Hope's dream had been laid to ruin. In the days that followed, Forrester Creations convened an emergency board meeting, Eric, white-haired and somber, Donna's sharp eyes scanning damage, Steffi avoiding all gazes, Liam ready to defend Hope's reputation, and Ridge demanding that Carter Walton, now unmasked as architect of sabotage and deceit, be struck from the payroll and barred from the premises. Legal counsel prepared termination papers even as PR drafted carefully worded statements to reassure investors and press that Hope for the future would continue under the unwavering stewardship of its namesake. Carter, confronted by his own misdeeds and the collapse of his personal and professional life, faced the ignominy of dismissal. No golden parachute, no severance, only the cold reality of betrayal's cost. Hope, retreating to her childhood bedroom, cast off her wedding dress like armor, collapsing onto the lace-trimmed comforter, heart hollow but resolute, while Thomas watched from a distance, the mannequin's empty eyes haunting the chapel's empty pews. The wedding had crumbled, Carter's career teetered on the brink, and the Forrester, Logan legacy stood poised between scandal and redemption, yet in the ruin Thomas had wrought, Hope found a bitter clarity. That truth, no matter how shattering, was the only path to reclaiming her name, her legacy, and her future. Hope Logan, Avant emerged from the shattered chapel into the bright glare of a Southern California morning, her wedding day now forever linked to betrayal and ruin, the ivory veil of her dreams rent in two. The guests dispersed in silent shock, clusters of well-wishers muttering behind fans of lace and silk, their whispers trailing like ghosts through the rose-scented air. Ridge Forrester, his face a mask of paternal fury, shepherded his daughter toward the sanctuary of the Logan estate, each step echoing with the hollow clack of heels on flagstone. Brooke Logan flanked them, arms wrapped protectively around Hope's trembling form as they crossed the courtyard, her own heart aching with the knowledge that Carter Walton's name would be mud in the boardrooms of Forrester Creations before noon. Liam Spencer appeared at the gate as if summoned by destiny, offering Hope a hand that trembled only slightly, his eyes alight with both outrage and compassion. "You're free now," he murmured, and though Hope could hardly imagine a future without Carter, she realized he was right. The man who had promised her forever had forfeited the only thing that once mattered, her trust. Inside the Logan living room, family and friends gathered in uneasy solidarity. Donna, ever the diplomat, orchestrated tea and comfort, her practiced grace easing the tension even as Steffi Forrester hovered by the fireplace, eyes darting between Ridge and Brooke, her own duplicity now exposed in the harsh light of Thomas's revelations. "I never wanted to hurt Hope," Steffi's voice cracked as she met Ridge's icy stare. "It was supposed to be business, nothing more." But Ridge's response was a silence so heavy it shattered the room. Even Brooke's maternal fury was tempered by Steffi's broken confession. Hope sank onto the velvet chaise, her wedding gown relegated to a dust-covered mannequin in the foyer, a ruined bride and her cruel simulacrum, two halves of a disastrously shattered fantasy. Liam knelt beside her, wrapping Hope in the solidity of his arms as she wept without shame, each tear a relinquishment of the life Carter had stolen from her. Meanwhile, Carter Walton's cell phone buzzed relentlessly with calls from the Forrester board, investors, lawyers, and messages he could not bear to answer. His penthouse, once the symbol of upward mobility, had become a prison of disgrace. He stood on the edge of the balcony, gaze fixed on the skyline, the events of the morning replaying in slow motion behind his eyelids as he realized the gulf between ambition and integrity could never be bridged. At Forrester Creations, the emergency board meeting convened under a cloud of crisis management. Eric Forrester, white hair gleaming under fluorescent light, presided with the solemnity of a patriarch burying not just trust, but a portion of his legacy. Donna presented the PR strategy, an unflinching public statement condemning Carter's acts, a promise to reinforce ethical standards, and an announcement that Hope for the Future would continue exclusively under Hope Logan's creative direction. Liam volunteered to conduct interviews, framing the scandal as the catalyst for Hope's triumphant independence. Ridge demanded Carter's immediate termination, instructing legal to prepare a breach of contract suit for damages and demanding the return of all proprietary designs. Steffi, her career on precarious ice, offered her resignation, but Ridge refused to accept the blood price of nepotism. The fallout was Carter's alone. Thomas Forrester, who had orchestrated the unveiling of every damning secret, observed from the doorway, his expression a blend of vindication and something darker, a reminder that obsession can yield justice, but also fragmentation. As the meeting adjourned, Ridge tapped Thomas sharply on the shoulder. "We won't tolerate any more games," he warned, eyes hard as granite. Thomas inclined his head, the weight of his mannequin trophy now a hollow victory. By afternoon, the press had descended upon the Logan estate like vultures, paparazzi lenses trained on Hope's tear-streaked face and Carter's abandoned tuxedo. Flashing bulbs assaulted her as she emerged to address the media, supported by Liam and shielded by a phalanx of Logan security. The statement was brief but unapologetic. Today was meant to celebrate love and family. Instead, it has become a lesson in trust. But my designs, my dreams, are not Carter Walton's to destroy. Hope for the future remains mine, and I intend to prove that integrity, not deceit, drives innovation. Her voice wavered only once, then steeled, and the cameras clicked in approval as she strode back inside, head held high. Carter watched the footage on his television, the reflection of his own downfall flickering across the screen, the applause muted by the revolving door of his regrets. That evening, at the clifftop overlooking the Pacific, Hope sat beside Liam on a bench carved from driftwood, waves crashing in fractured crescendos below. The salt-laden breeze tangled in her hair as she traced patterns in the sand with her fingertip. "It feels unreal," she whispered, "like my whole world was a dream and I just woke up to the wrong story." Liam slid his arm around her shoulders, the gesture simple, human, healing. "You're not alone," he said. "We'll write a new story together, one that honors who you are." Far below, the headlights of Carter's car cut through the darkness as he left behind the city of broken promises he had once conquered. Back in the Forrester design loft, Hope convened a creative summit. Steffi, guilt still visible in her posture, offered sketches for collaboration, while Thomas watched from the periphery, the battered mannequin dress hidden in a storage closet like a dark secret. Designers and seamstresses bustled around Hope, helping her shed the remnants of last night's gown and don a fresh prototype of a new dress, the first in a collection she named Phoenix Rising. Each seam, each pin, each drape spoke of resilience and rebirth. Brooke and Ridge joined her on the floor, whispering encouragement, the family united in purpose. Hope's fingers flew over the fabric, her spirit rekindled by the knowledge that creativity could mend what deception had torn apart. Meanwhile, Carter Walton faced the final act of his undoing. Summoned to the boardroom of Logan Investments, he faced Donna and Ridge across the mahogany table, their gazes as unforgiving as courtroom judges. Legal briefs and invoices were laid bare, unauthorized transfers, confidentiality breaches, reputational harm quantified in millions. Carter's last vestige of defense crumbled against the weight of evidence. He was handed a dismissal letter, the signature of Eric Forrester sealing his fate with the finality of a guillotine's blade. "Consider this your last day," Ridge said softly, "and let it be the closing chapter you wrote yourself." Carter rose, shoulders stooped, dignity in tatters, and exited without a word, passing beneath the Forrester logo as it loomed like a beacon of integrity he could no longer claim. In the wake of these seismic shifts, life at Forrester Creations and the Logan household settled into a cautious new normal. Born of resilience, debuted on the runway to critical acclaim, and Hope Logan, Avant stood at its heart, radiant in a gown of silk and fire opal embroidery, the phoenix motif breathing life into every fold. Thomas, watching from the wings, felt a pang of something he could not name. Pride, perhaps, or longing, or the slow twilight of obsession finally yielding to acceptance. Brooke and Ridge, hand in hand, watched their daughter claim her destiny. Steffi, redeemed by her contrition and hard work, found a measure of forgiveness as she joined Hope backstage for congratulations. Liam slipped an arm around Hope's waist, his smile as steady as his devotion, and she leaned into him, the future no longer a treacherous cliff, but a horizon alive with possibility. Carter Walton, adrift in solitude, could only watch the live stream of Hope's triumph, a testament to the truth that even the deepest betrayal can be the anvil upon which greatness is forged. And in the quiet stillness of the chapel that had borne witness to the greatest collapse of her life, the mannequin, those empty eyes and tattered dress, stood silent, a relic of sorrow whose final purpose had been to usher in Hope's rebirth. In the world of the bold and the beautiful, where love and ambition clash like titans, today's devastation had yielded tomorrow's victory, and Hope Logan, Avant, had risen from the ashes to claim her name, her legacy, and her future.